Loads. Greetings, fellow Watford fans. I'm Omar Moore. I hope you are well. This is the Orns 10-minute take on Everton versus Watford. And on this occasion, I am happy to report we have a win to talk about, a W. And I'm just so happy that we got this win today. And where did these 5 goals come from? I don't think that any of us saw this as Watford fans going into this game. And I'm wearing the colors the Watford wore in the 1950s. It's particularly ironic on this day because, of course, Everton wear the very same colors. And they looked at sea today, did Everton, as Watford punished Everton in this game. Now, look, this is the kind of game that Watford were going to perform better in. I said this on the Friday Focus and said that Watford were going to perform a lot better. I expected them to perform much better than they did against Liverpool last week. And Ranieri having more time with them was going to be helpful, and it was going to be a plus. And I didn't have any doubts about the performance. I was just wondering if they would get the 3 points. Perhaps I felt from yesterday that they would get the 3 points, but they certainly would get at least one today, and they've got all three. And at 2-1 behind this game, I did not think Watford were going to pack it in. What we saw today in this game was a resilient, focused Watford team playing as a team, not as individuals, playing with a confident mentality, playing with a positive mentality, and being aggressive from the off. Watford today were up for it. And that's the difference in a lot of these games this season. You can pretty much tell what mood Watford are in from the first 10 or so minutes of the game. And today, Watford, from the very first few minutes of this game, were up for it. They were lively, they were positive, they had a lot of energy today. The lineup that we saw today saw Emmanuel Dennis being left off, and I was wondering what that was going to put forth for this team. But Ranieri knew what he was doing because his substitutions today were absolutely on target, spot on, bringing in both João Pedro and Emmanuel Dennis and bringing off a rather ineffective Ismail Assar proved to be the absolute turning point of this game because within a few minutes, Watford came alive, scored 2 goals within an 88-second span, with goals from Kuchka to equalize the game, and then Josh King, the second of his hat trick, to take Watford in front, and they would never look back from there. And Watford had really applied the screws here. They had a bit of devil in them in this game, and they never gave up on the game. Resilience was the name of the game. Watford were a resilient side today. I thought that Watford never gave up, and you saw that they never gave up. They scored they had the count. They had a real gut punch in that first half after Tom Davis, after 3 minutes, put in a goal for Everton. And then Watford, within 10 minutes or so, equalized through Josh King. And at halftime, Watford going in, I think, with a few more chances than Everton, and certainly should have had a goal in the game early in the second half. Josh King, a rather, I think, nonchalant strike. It was not a tame strike, but it wasn't a strike that had a real force to it. And it was a really good save from Pickford nonetheless. I think Josh King there felt unlucky. He didn't score there to take Watford in front at that moment, because, of course, a few minutes after that, Richarlison comes in, the former Watford man, and scores his goal to give Everton a 2-1 lead. And that was a goal that I thought maybe Ben Foster could have done better with. Defense definitely fell asleep, but Ben Foster, I think, perhaps could have come off his line a little less soon than he did. I don't know. It's very difficult in that moment for Ben Foster, I suppose, and I really shouldn't put that on him. But still, I do wonder about the goalkeeping for us. We're still looking at that position and if Ben Foster could have done better or not. I don't know. Perhaps he could have. Perhaps it was defense's fault. But nonetheless, Everton had the lead. And at that point, I did not think that Watford were going to lie down. I felt that Watford were going to respond again. And not just because they responded the first time, but because the team cohesion was better today. The mentality was better today. They played as a team, and the attitude and the spirit was there. And that's what you all you can ask for. And the minimum that we can ask for as Watford fans is to see a team with spirit and endeavor and heart and commitment. And if you got those four things, then you're in good shape, even if you don't win the game. If you put in a shift, if you show the desire, if you show the commitment, you really are going to get some credit from the fans. And we know that mistakes can get made. We know that sometimes you can get beat by the odd goal. We know that teams like Liverpool are miles better than we are. But what we want to see is an effort. We want to see is a mentality on that pitch. We want to see a team performance. We want to see that you care. And today, Watford showed you that they care. They showed you from 1 through 11 that they cared about the performance, they cared about the team, they cared about putting in a performance that would send a message. This team is much, much, much better than they're showing. And today they showed who they were, and today they showed who they are. A team that's committed, a team that's got goals across the pitch. Kuchka scoring his first goal for Watford, and today was a day of firsts for the Orns. Kuchka, his first goal for Watford. Josh King, his first goal for Watford. He had three of them, and the goals were coming for Josh King. They were going to happen, and it was just great to see his first game back on the pitch for Watford after injury. Bang, he's off and running with a hat trick for the Orns today. A first win ever at Goodison Park for Watford. A first win under the new head coach Claudio Ranieri, and the first time that this season we've scored 5 goals in a game. So there was a series of firsts today for Watford FC, and it came at exactly the right time. This was a game we desperately needed. We needed to get points from this game, and we did that and then some. We flew in that second half after we were down 2-1. That tells me about the spirit, the heart, and the resilience of this side. It tells me that Claudio Ranieri has absolutely put his imprint on the team, even after this short period of time. Now, look, this is a really good win. It's a happy time right now. But of course, we can't get too excited because we always have to see how we can build here, because we must build on this performance and on this display and on this victory. 5 goals today, very impressive at Goodison Park, where we'd never won until today. And also, it is worth noting, if I didn't note it before, Everton are very dodgy at the back, particularly at Goodison Park. That's something that's been the case for them for a number of years now at home. They can be had at home. Defensively, they are very poor in stages, and they are bound to switch off in a game. And they did that as Watford came in to score several of these goals. They were all at sea. And I think one of the big reasons why today was that switch by Ranieri, taking out Sarr and making a double change down 2-1. That is a really good switch. That's not something I think a lot of managers would do. Put two attacking players on the pitch after being down 2-1. I think he must have seen something on that field that was there to be exploited, and it paid off. And he put on João Pedro, an attacking player. He put on Emmanuel Dennis, an attacking player. Stuck Dennis on the wing, put João Pedro up in the middle, I think it was, and it worked. It paid off. It worked well, and Everton did not know how to handle that. It was clear that disrupted Everton, and Watford's continuing endeavor with Hernandez down the left, it really troubled Everton. It stretched the pitch, and it had them all over the place. They were at sixes and sevens in that defense. In fact, all day long, they looked like they could be had. And I'm glad that Watford took full advantage of it. And this is the kind of performance that I think this team is capable of. They had this in them. This is one of the reasons I picked them to finish 11th, even before they kicked the ball this season, is because on paper, and this is before they got some of these players that they've got now, on paper, this team has enough goals in it. They have a strong, solid base, and they can absolutely perform if they want to. But the problem with this team in the first few games is that they didn't really have a devil in them to go forward and win these games. Now, they won the game against Villa, of course. They won the game against Norwich, of course. But these games, even the game against Tottenham, where they were very good, they didn't have enough drive in them. And they just needed some spark, something to just get going. And they didn't get going in a lot of these games. And today they finally did. This is the Watford that I expected before this season started. This is the Watford that, now granted, it's one game. This is the Watford that I envisioned when I picked them to finish 11th. Now, of course, there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. What we want to look at, and I was starting to say this earlier, is how we build off of this game. Because while it's a really good performance, by and large, excellent performance from 1 through 11, I mean, again, there were some wobbles in the defense a bit, but generally speaking, solid performance from the defenders today. And Gakia looking very good again. This is why you have to keep starting Jeremy and Gakia. I'll take him every day of the week, quite frankly, over Femenia. And I know Femenia has been good going forward, but he does not defend a lick for us. If we're being fair, if we're being honest, Ngaki will give you that commitment, and he does like to go forward. Ngaki, in fact, he got caught out going forward in that early goal that we conceded. But that's the spirit of the lad. You want lads in your team who are going to fight for you, who are going to dig for you, who are going to not be afraid, going to be fearless, going to take a risk, going to take a chance. And Gakia does that every time he was on the ball. He went forward with it. He went forward and he was positive, and he did his defending. I'll take Ngaki every week at right back, starting for us. And I'm glad Ranieri did that today. And I hope he does it again against Southampton next week. Now, speaking of the defense, I thought Truster Kong was okay, except for that silly foul early on. Cathcart got burned a little bit, but I think he held his own, stuck in there. Messina even today was good. Messina did a good job today. Can't fault him. It was his corner or his set piece early on in the 15th minute or so that led to the Josh King goal. So he put in a good corner kick or free kick, whatever it was at the time. It might have been from a corner that got the ball in and then the rebound to Josh King. So Messina did acquit himself well. I still would like to see Danny Rose back there, though, next week. I don't know if Ranieri is going to do that or not. We will see, because Rose is a better defender than Messina is, despite the performance against Liverpool. But all in all, the defense did well today, considering everything in this game. But this is, again, a series of firsts, as I outlined. And next week, if we can perform the way we did today against Southampton at the Vic, there's no reason why we can't pick up 3 points. I mean, I don't want to look too far ahead, but that would be a first as well. We've not beaten Southampton at the Vic in a long time in the Premier League. Ever since we got back in the Premier League, at least from 2015-16 season, when we got back in that season, we did not beat Southampton at the Vic, and we haven't beaten Southampton at the Vic at all in that stretch. And we've got to make that a first, and we've got to beat Southampton next week. But look, this is a win to enjoy, a performance to enjoy. And again, I'm going to repeat this. We had one word today, one word for me that sums up Watford today was resilient. They never gave up on the game away from home. You had to show everybody what you were made of away from home. And they did it in a really good display, one of confidence, one of commitment, one of never giving up and battling back, not hanging their heads, not dropping their heads, like they did last week. They dropped their heads against Liverpool. This week against another team based in Liverpool, we did not drop our heads. We kept going. We kept committing. We kept fighting. And we kept moving. We kept the ball movement going. Even though the passing today was not as good as it could be, that's my one bugaboo with Watford. The passing needs to be sharper and needs to be better. Too many sloppy passes again today. But once the substitutions were made, the passing, if you notice it, the passing got a whole lot better. They were fluid when they made the two subs to bring on both João Pedro and Dennis. They were sharper in their passing. They were quicker, even with the ball movement too. I think from 1 through 11, the balance was much better today. The midfield was incisive. I liked Kuchka today. Kuchka gave you a real shift, and he went forward. He had commitment. He really did go forward with this side today. Really like what Kuchka brought to the team today. And of course, Sissoko was really marvelous again. Really showed you why he has the captain's armband, why he is a player that Watford can look to for leadership and guidance, experience and skill and discipline. Sissoko covered every blade of grass today. Really proud of his performance. And also, of course, Josh King. But what can you say? The hat trick king, Josh King, Joshua King, coming good. You knew that he was going to finally score some goals for Watford. It had been coming. And look, he got it done today. And not one, but three. It's like the buses. You don't get one for an hour, and then they show up three at a time. You know how that goes. And today, it went our way, the Watford way. It was a great performance today.